Norman. I wanted to go ahead and give you a little bit of a tour of my back, let you know what I've been doing as far as a little background. My yard was good. It had been fertilized for a long time, so I've been trying to like let that cycle through. Over the last probably 4 or 5 years, I haven't put any fertilizer on it, so that's fantastic. Um, but there were some bare spots. There were some things that happened. We had a tornado hit, so I have some things in my yard that I'm still trying to figure out. They've done some digging and put some electrical things back here. So I'm trying really, really hard to kind of just reintroduce fertility to the soil and my gardens and get them prepared for this year. So I want to give you a little bit of a tour just to kind of let you know what's going on and let you know some of the things that I'm doing to build soil fertility so that I can prepare for my plants. I think that's very important and I think it's really interesting. And so I think maybe a chance for you to see what I'm doing is going to be important. So let me flip you around really quick. Okay, the first thing is you will notice that my yard is not raked. I have leaves in my yard. I am leaving them. Why am I leaving them? Because it allows for plants and little animals and stuff to be underneath them. I think it's fantastic. I want that to occur because, again, it eats and they burrow in, and maybe they're the bees that I need for this next year. And if I am raking it all the time, I'm ultimately moving that into a different area. You will also notice that there are clover in my garden beds. These garden beds, I turned them over last fall, and I've been adding some things to them. For example, I've added eggshells, I've added banana peels, I've added, currently I'm adding anything that has minerals in it. So for example, if I am taking a can of corn, I am putting all the juices inside my bucket. If when I did shrimp yesterday, I had the water that I had the shrimp in. So I put that water into the bucket, which I'll show you in a little bit. So I'm adding that all to the soil just to feed the microbes and give them something to eat. Notice the ground that I have. This is all black dirt, which is very different because Oklahoma has red clay. That red clay is hard to grow in. So I'm constantly feeding the soil. Again, I've got clover growing. I'm not worried about the clover. I want it to be there because, again, it's pulling carbon into the ground and releasing it there. I will turn it over before I plant in it and I'll be just fine. This one, of course, I've torn up a lot. I added a lot of stuff to it. The things that I had growing in it last year did not do as well as I wanted them to. So I put a lot of emphasis on adding organic matter and other things like that into it so it will feed the things that I need. My yard, interestingly enough, we did some interesting things. We took a bunch of seed and just threw it along the back side of this. So all of this back wild area, I put old tomato plants, I put flower seeds and all that, and I'm just gonna let it grow wild and see what happens. So we will see what seeds grow, what seeds don't grow. We'll see whether or not the birds got them and they end up taking them somewhere else, all of that. This is a patch of ground that is very, very bare. It's been bare for a little while. I've been adding stuff to it. For example, when milk goes bad, I've been putting that on there. I've just been adding things into it to kind of feed it and give it something. And I want you to look at something. So this is moss that is growing on my yard. I like that. This is something to tell me that there is something for that to feed on. And I want that green moss to continue to grow and to add to the soil as well. It will hopefully help it grow. I'm thinking seriously about putting a fire pit in the middle of this and then doing something with it. I don't know yet, but that's kind of my plan this year. And make it out here where we can sit outside and have a fire at the end. Again, this is my wild area. I'm gonna let it go. Again, notice all of the leaves. I want the leaves to be there. Yes, I have compost areas, compost piles that are very important to me. I'm gonna flip them over on a regular basis. This is all my leaf area. These are my garden beds that are shady. Notice there are leaves on all of it. We had a really cold freeze a couple of weeks ago, and that took out most of my plants. So they're fine, like they're being wintered right now. I've been digging into it, planting stuff. Notice the clover coming up in this bed right here. I've added a lot of organic matter. There's also put a lot of seeds in there. So a lot of what I will get is volunteer plants that come up. I'll have tomatoes and peppers and all that. They come up here. I will leave them. That is my goal, is to leave some things and just say, you know what, this is their ability. I do have a rain barrel, why? Because I think it's important coming off my patio cover that I collect as much rainwater as possible. I have some winter crops in. I'll be honest with you, they didn't do as great as I would like. I'll have to learn from this and learn, okay, yeah, that didn't work. We'll try something different. I had amazing turnips. The downside was I didn't realize I had amazing turnips until it froze. And then when I pulled them up, they were clear. So I am leaving them in the garden bed to see what happens. See if they start to grow and get hard again. If they do, then I'll eat them. If not, take them out and I'll put them in my compost pile. That is an opportunity that I have. This is an example of what I'm going to put in one of my beds. I've got onions, I've got pepper stuff in there, I've got shrimp tails. All of that will go into one of my garden beds to add fertility to the soil so that I can keep adding to it. I still have sage that's growing a little bit. I try and cover it when it's really, really, really cold. My other herbs, they're kind of peaked right now. We'll see what happens with the sunshine this week. And of course, my rosemary. If you don't know, rosemary kind of lets you know she's stressed. What she does is she turns a purple color. Well, she's getting her green back. What that tells me is she has had some sun. She's happy. She's doing really well. And of course, she's great on potatoes. So I love, love, love rosemary. So it's fantastic. These are just some of the things that I'm doing. Of course, I haven't started planting yet. Why? Because we live in Oklahoma. And so you have to be careful. In 2 weeks, we're supposed to have a cold snap again. People get really excited because it's warm outside and pretty. And I'm like, if you plant too early, you will be replanting plants. So things like warm vegetables you don't want to do right now. The things they do tell you to put in are like potatoes and onions. And I can do that not too far off because, again, I love that. I mean, it's just really, really cool. Again, some of my plants, like I said, they turn purple too. So we have all these interesting dynamics where the plants tell you what's going on. On this side of my yard, I have a slope. Interestingly enough, there's water that comes in, goes down this. It's like we are on the top of a hill, which is true. We are on the top of a hill. So you see some of the water movement. So again, this grass is beautiful because it comes down from the front yard. My goal, of course, is not to add any pesticides to it so that when I get my first round of dandelions, I'm thrilled. I get the opportunity to feed my bees and eat the dandelions, and I have a random cactus that is growing. This is something that we did not plan on, and I did not plant, by the way. But if you see this right here, this is a paddle cactus. And as long as it stays its nice little size, I'm going to leave it. If it gets out of control, I'll dig some of it up. But again, look at the moss that's growing, the greenness of that. I love that. That means it's got stuff to eat. And I think it's fantastic. It adds other things to it. It diversifies the seed. And my yard is full of different things in it. So I let that happen. I think it's great. I think it's an opportunity for me to see different kinds of things. I do mow my yard. I don't let it get as tall as it could. The back side where the flowers are going to be, I'm going to leave them. Oh, I just saw a little grasshopper. So it thinks it's spring as well. So I am going to leave that back wild area and not do anything with it and see what happens. So you all get to be on this journey with me this year. We do have a bird bath and, of course, all these little seed pods. I mean, I grow the best trees. Sometimes I don't even want trees and I grow the best trees. This is a mulberry tree, not a mulberry bush. And so every year when that comes out, I'm excited. I get to pull mulberries off of it. We do eat that. We put that in the kids' yogurt so they can eat it. It's fantastic. We have a lot. But then we get them and then the birds grab their take and go use the restroom everywhere. So it's all kinds of fun. In the back of my house, they're building a giant building. I am excited that hopefully they will be done soon. Why? Because I don't want that sound in my garden anymore. It will hopefully keep it from being as crazy as it is. So I know that this is a very short tour, but I wanted you to go on it with me, give you a heads up of kind of the baseline that I'm working with, the soil stuff that I'm doing. I can feel it being softer just by stepping on it, and I think that's important. So hopefully you have enjoyed this quick little tour, and you get to watch my progress as we go through this gardening season to do better than we did last year. So I will see you soon.